Yeah, hello, hello, hello. We are 10 seconds away before we start the place. Um, yeah, just about to go, right? Now, I say. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome here to the place. If you are with me here on Zoom or on Facebook, just bear with me for a second. I always want to check if everything goes well. Yep, and I think I am live. If some people can give me a thumbs up that you can hear me really well, then we can start with another episode of The Place. Can you believe it? It's already mid June. And if you are here with me in Dallas or anywhere here in the south of the US, then it's blazing hot. It's a little bit early in the year. Um, what better way to start to talk a little bit about the weather today, right? If you don't know what this is all about, then I can help you a little bit, right? It is the place, as I always say, it's with more connections and more answers. And we are here every Tuesday on Facebook and YouTube Live, and 12 o'clock here, that is US Central Time, and that's about 7 o'clock in Europe, depending a little bit where you are, something in between. If you are in another place of the world. Today we are, before I forget, last week I totally forgot, don't forget to subscribe to either Facebook Live channel or my YouTube channel, especially my YouTube channel. It's kind of new and it would be nice to follow there. You can always look back to the episode that you have missed, or you want to, re-see them or what have you not. And so that would be so nice. I haven't got a thumbs up from anyone whether my sound was really good, so I'm going to check it myself really quick. You might hear a little bit of a double sound. This video has ended, and that is not good. Something went wrong because the video should not be ended at all. The video should be going. Okay. Alright. What is going on here? Just let me see if I am still live. I think I am, but just let me check real quick if that is true or not. Just hold on, guys. Happens a little bit, right? This is live video here right now with me at the place. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I am actually live. So this week coaching is about your health is temporary, and don't immediately hang up because it sounds a little bit like it sounds a little bit like a doom scenario. It is actually, by the way, episode 212 of TAL, the Everyday Life Lesson. And like I said, we talk about your health is temporary, and no matter what you do. And you might think this might fall mostly under the physical energy, because I always talk about the 5 energies, but actually it falls under the 5 life energies, all of them. So there are 5 life energies, and I like to go over them with you real quick so that you have a little reminder of that. The first energy, as I told you, is physical energy. The second energy is mental energy. The third one is creative energy. And then we have, of course, a manifestation energy. And last but not least, you have a divine energy. And we come back. I don't do that all the time, by the way, but this month, or this week actually, it's going to be a little bit special, because I wanted to highlight those 5 energies a little bit more, and how you actually can use them in your life on a daily basis. If you don't know where those things are coming from, actually they're coming from my book Broken Silence. It's on it's on this side of the screen, if it's correct. Broken Silence. I published that in 2018. Talking about publishing about books, it just has nothing to do with this episode, but I wanted to mention that my good friend Ton Greten has actually recently published a book as well. And we're going to talk about in this podcast a little bit more about it. It's all about dance and a little bit more than that as well, right? Anyhow, we're talking today about my book Broken Silence. Not so much about the book, but mostly about how that matters to our health. Yeah. Okay, I have to browse a little bit back here. So, in an article from Dr. Jung Kim, I read, and I'm quoting here, even if you were the most health conscious person in the world, exercising, experiencing zero stress, and getting a lot of sleep, and eating a balanced diet, who does not or do all these things, right? Even then, your health is temporary. No matter what we do, our body and mind will eventually break down and cease to function. Now, like I said, now this looks like a doom scenario, but actually, if you stay with me for a little bit, then then you will actually see that if you really realize what that means, what Dr. Jung Kim says here, that it actually could change a mind shift in you or a change of perspective, so you want, that could become the strongest motivation for you to change your habits and more things in your life to live a longer, and maybe that's not so important, but definitely live a high on a much higher quality. And that's a big promise, but it is actually true, and we'll see that today. Um, if it comes to health, most people actually believe that they are healthier than they actually are. Um, that is actually proven in some research. And here are some remarkable things. I mean, the research is way more extensive than I am bringing here, but we all know that obesity is a huge problem in the US, and not only the US, it's starting to be a huge problem in Europe as well, and probably in other countries too. But if you interview then people with who are overweighted, and most of us are, by the way, right? Seriously true. We think about obese people, people that look really obese, but most people actually have too much weight. I only have to look at children of today and see that even children are hugely overweighted. So let's not close our eyes for these things. And if this is honing home for you really hard, then I apologize. But I also hope to give you some good direction how we can deal with this as well. But 68% of people who are obese believe that they were healthy or at least healthier than the average person. That's kind of a remarkable number, I would say. So everything that we do here at the place has a lot to do with mindset. So if you believe something and you believe it really hard, it becomes really hard to change. So often before you want to change your habits, you actually have to take on different beliefs. Now, you don't have to do anything, of course, that's your choice, but it's just what we talk about today, right? Now, here's another one that's even more remarkable. If it comes to smokers, right, then 85% of the smokers that were interviewed still believe they were healthier than the norm. I think that is a shocking thing. Until I went back to the time, yes, I have to admit, I smoked myself too, and I knew smoking was bad, but I still believed that I was better than most because I was also an athlete. How weird that may sound, that there was I went into smoking and then I stopped smoking, but so in general you could say I was a smoker. And then I met the trainer, and he said, you Sean, you should stop smoking. You're an athlete. Why were I smoking? I said, see what my results are, how good I am, even when I'm smoking. And he said, it's not about how good you are with smoking. You have to think about how good you could be without the smoking. And actually, that stimulated me, to at least smoke a lot less. And it was not until, the mother of my children was pregnant of our firstborn that I actually decided this craziness has to stop. Oh, a little bit late in life, I must to admit. I was never a super heavy smoker, maybe at times, but still, my mind. See how my mind works. I still believe like, yeah, it was not that bad, But in fact, it is bad, you know. In fact, the way we are raised and educated is that we are all healthy people to begin with. And we mostly spring into action when we don't feel well or sick. And that could be physically, that could be mentally, or that could be both. Often it goes together. As you know, here on the place, I have a very much of a holistic approach of things. So most of the time, that is both. Let me take off that little thing here. So it kind of, it's nice, maybe. Um, so to show that I can play with these things, right? Sorry. And we mostly spring into action when we don't feel well or sick. While often not feeling well or getting sick is a result, so let me say that again, we spring into action when we don't feel well or when we even feel sick. But feeling sick or not feeling so well is often a result of something that has set in motion times before we are seeing those symptoms, right? Unless you catch a bug or something, but often even if the bug has an effect, it's already a result of a process that was going on for a long time. And we human being, and I think I said that last time in the place as well, we're really good at problem solving, and you see that also in the way we look at health. We're really good at fixing people. It's amazing what people can do nowadays. You know, it is that is the hospitals, and specifically here in the US, they are literally top notch. It is I have not more than I've only respect for the people who are doing that, but do realize that most of the hospitals are problem solvers. We should have hospitals to prevent people going to the other hospitals, and we always get sick or something, so we probably need those too. But still don't know. We talk about it so much that we don't spend equal amount of money or not more in preventing the getting sick. So we're getting to that point, and why that's important in this case. Um, Dr. Jung also gave me a quote, well, not me personally, but in his article, he quoted the definition of the World Health Organization, what health is. Right? It's after all an organization, WHO, that stands for health, and it defines health as following: health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And if you think about it in that definition, that sets the bar pretty high. And most people actually will then be unhealthy, which is probably true because, think about just high blood pressure, think about, overweight, think about diabetes, think about even worse things than that. But only in those three things, I probably hit a lot of the people that have that for a little bit. And not to mention even the mental disorders that we could have, high anxiety or depression. So if you follow the WHO definition, then most people actually are not healthy. And scary as that is, that probably is true too, right? So, no, not doing a doom scenario today, but so then you come back to that earlier quote that it said, even if you were the most health conscious person in the world, exercising, experiencing serious stress, getting lots of sleep, and eating a balanced diet, um, then health is still temporary. No matter what we do, our body and mind will eventually break down and cease to function. And yet we have a tendency to think that our health and youth is just for us always. We have a tendency to think that. So we should start thinking health as a temporary state, and that requires a constant effort to maintain, with the goal to prolonging this period as long as possible. That is what Dr. Jung Kim actually proposes here, and actually, I am fully agreeing with that thinking, right? And if you just realize that, and that would definitely just change a lot in your mind. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. So we should start thinking of health as a temporary state that requires constant effort to maintain, with the goal of prolonging this period as long as possible. Now, athletes often have this mentality, at least in some parts of their life, right? And sometimes in all parts of their life. They know if they stop practicing or practicing less, that the results or their performances will go down over time. They just know it. They also know that as they grow older, that their performance will go down over time. Depends a little bit in what sports you do. But if you do endurance, sometimes you can do that a little bit longer. If it comes to speed, that typically goes a little bit down faster as you grow old. So athletes like myself, we know that. We're very aware of that, not too worried about it. We try to prolong it, but we know this is unsustainable. My dad was an athlete. He was also a Red Beret commando, so he has been at times in his life in a top shape, and he know that would go down. And then eventually he passed away, which is a year ago, which is a whole different story. But 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 athletes know that they need to maintain and keep practicing to maintain the same result. Most of us are not athletes, by the way, right? A lot of people think of themselves that they are athletes, but most of us are not. It's only a small percentage who do that and have that mentality, at least to some extent. So don't think that I point my finger to you and that we need to all become athletes. I just trying to provoke a mind shift here, and I hope that you bear with me. And there's no need to do only the soft coaching, right? It's also sometimes time to do a little bit of realization. So you can only say from yourself what fits you. I cannot do that, definitely not through here, but we have other means to do that. But I made another analogy is a car fanatics, right? I know very little about cars, but for some reason I always want to talk about cars. And but I know very little. But people who really love cars, and I'm talking a little bit about the old cars and stuff like that, they keep maintaining them. They have they change the garage and they have all their tools, and that's what they do in the weekend and in the spare time. They constantly work on the car, and it's not that the car is broken. Actually, they need to do that to keep the car running, right? Keep the motor running. Yeah, remind me of a song. Anyhow, everything has a song. Right? But if it comes to our health, it should actually be the same thing. That's the most logic, and people say we do that, right? But most people actually don't. If it comes to our health, most of us have a mentality that we fix it when it breaks. We go to the doctor when we don't feel well. No one goes to the doctor and say, man, I feel so fantastic. Let me go to the doctor. Because guess what? Most doctors are not trained to deal with super healthy people and say, hey, let's talk about how to maintain this health. We always go to the doctor when something is broken, and it's a general mentality. We're really good at problem solving. So we typically say, since we're so good at problem solving, why would I not, only solve the problem and the problem is there? Because preventing problems is not so much rewarding. We don't know how to reward it. We don't reward people from, hey, your whole life you've never been to a doctor, so that means you had way less pressure on let's say the social economy, and herefore we send you blah blah blah. We don't do these things. We don't reward people who prevent things. We reward people from solving things. So if you follow that line, you're actually constantly under the line to live a full life. Ooh, yeah, that sounds really bad. But it is actually a little bit true if it comes to health, at least. So I made two graphs. I don't know. I just threw them together this morning. I think it's kind of insightful, but maybe you don't. Let me know what you think here on either on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. Don't be shy. Just give me a remark here. So hopefully this goes well, right? So the top half of this little graph here is of your fuller life, and if you look at the green dotted line, that's the norm. Let's say that's the norm of having an average health, right? Now, most of us, they start to live, and I cannot say how long this line is. Of course, that's for everyone different. Some people have an average more healthier lifestyle than other people, healthier habits. So, but that line, that purple line, those arrows will go down at some point in time, and it often goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But I just gave you a little, piece of probably what everyone's life is. Then at some point in time, we hit that red area. And then we get into a problem area. Most people, it could be just a flu, or, in the worst case, it could be corona nowadays, but we recover from it. And then we climb up a little bit and it declines. We stay actually constantly under the norm. I'm not saying the average because that's impossible, then the graph would not be mathematically correct, but that's why I'm saying the norm. And if we play between that area, between the norm and the problem area, we actually think we live a pretty healthy life because 80-90% of the people they lead their life there. And think about it, this is not only about your physical health; it is also about our mental health, right? And I want you to take a moment to see if this is true for you too, because we tend to dismiss these things very quickly. So yeah, I feel good, but even if I feel good, it's sometimes really hard to know and to feel how it is to feel better. We have been all sick, so we kind of know how it is to feel sick, but very few of us know how it is to live and feel when you're in optimal health, both physical and mentally. Like I said, and it's not to brag at all. It's just my life was good for me in most of the times, and a very blessed life, and definitely with a very blessed health. But I do know what it is to perform as a top athlete and how that feels, and it feels awesome. Sometimes we long for it more. I do feel that I'm healthy now, but I also know that I'm not at that optimum level, right? So, but if you've never been there, and maybe there was a higher level for me too, so I don't know how that is too. We don't know how that is. Most of us don't know how that is to live above that norm line for a very long time. Just take that for me for now, because then you get to the following line is how we could live if we constantly maintain our health and be conscious or conscientious about it. That's one of the areas we always measure if someone has a healthy life. Then we could live like this, and that goes up and down too. It might be better periods in life, might be really, really good periods in life, and it goes down, and sometimes it even goes down in the problem area. But typically, people who have had that life, even if they become sick or have an injury, then they know how to bring themselves back up there. If you are in the previous one, you just bring yourself above the problem area and settle for that. And that is true if you read the research from it. That is true for 80% of life. And if you read things about World Health Organization or other people who write about these things, actually we have a big, and I say we because I'm one of them, I'm just not such a big influencer yet, is that I feel that in the Western world we bring our life, quality down if it comes to a health perspective. More people get obese. The number of diabetes are going through the roof. People with depression and anxiety will be ultimate high. Yeah, we had some things to deal with, and we still do. We had Corona. We can feel the war in Russia and the Ukraine. We can feel that as a pressure on our life. But overall, and if everything goes down, yeah, we still swim in the same water, so to speak, so we don't feel so much what the other water could be. Does that make any sense? I hope it makes a little bit sense because I'm always pretty serious about this thing. Okay, I didn't want to do the subscribe yet. Not at the end of thing. Let me go back to this slide. It's a little bit more friendly. Um, anyhow, so those two graphs, I hope they help you. But then comes the question, of course, then how, Jean, do we stay in a state of health or get that even better? Now, there's a lot of things written about, holistic life and that you need to be healthy in body, mind, spirit, and soul. Um, it becomes very abstract if it comes to body, mind, not so much, but then spirit and soul, it becomes very often very abstract if you want to read literature around it. So at some point in time, I felt very inclined to write a book about it myself, at least spend a chapter of the book on that topic in hopes that helps a little bit. And I want just to take that book. After all, I did the work for it. Is how you can see um, that you can actually work every day on a healthier life and see that as a maintenance that you need to do it every day. It's not something that you do when you feel bad, right? An athlete try to make his performance better, but if you don't do nothing, everything declines, everything stops, becoming better when you stop doing it. So you have to keep working on it. And most people, unfortunately, don't. Now, remember, there are five life energies, since physical energy. So here I give you will write it down, and maybe I should put it in the slides here too. Is if you think about your physical health, don't overthink it so much, right? Think about it. Do you truly feel vibrant? Right, you can actually see that I'm in a very vibrant state now because I'm talking to you, and it gives me always a lot of energy, and I can maintain that energy for very long. If I at the end of the day completely, depleted, and I wake up in the morning, which is a very good sign that your health is not so, your physical health is not so vibrant. If you wake up and you're still tired, something is off. And that can happen. Maybe I came back from Europe and I was a little bit jet lagged. Yeah. So for the first 4 or 5 days, I had that a little bit, but then it comes back. Then I wake up and I'm on again. And, 7 o'clock, I start to do things. And maybe it's just reading, maybe it's jumping on a bike, whatever you think you need to do. And we can talk about that too. We talk about an hour of power always, but feel very vibrant always when you need it. Doesn't mean that you don't take times to, rest a little bit, um, but resting should not make you feel tired. And then you come to the second energy is mental energy. And also here I want to give you just a simple keyword so that you can focus on that and think about it on a daily basis. If it comes to your mental energy, you need to be able to sit in stillness. If you constantly have, thoughts in your mind that worries you, then that's a typically sign of that your mental health is not so well. Some people say, no, my mental health is really well. I just have a lot of worries. Well, having a lot of worries means that your mental health is actually not so well. No, but you don't know what problems I have. No, of course I don't know what problems you have, but trust me, most people have problems, and the people that are doing really well and are in perfect mental health, they have probably the same worries as you have, and sometimes even more. They just worry about it less. Does that make any sense? People who worry a lot always think that they have more problems than other people, but that is the exact definition of having mental problems. Does that make any sense? So, a way to feel whether you have that or not is, can you sit in stillness, right? That doesn't mean, I don't say, can you sit without any thoughts? That is an impossibility. That's a meditation exercise that can be done, but that's not a goal at all. So, go away from all those kind of craziness. Just bear with me. Sit in stillness where you have normal thoughts, just a little bit of thoughts, not too much worries and stuff like that. Can you focus really well would be another keyword. But I want to give you this one keyword as well, stillness as well. And there's more to it. If you know me and I teach about these things, then you can follow this too. But this podcast would be a little bit too long for that. Huh? Okay, and then you have your third energy, is your creative energy. It's also, I want to give you a keyword, how you can measure if you have a good creative energy. And in psychology, if it comes to conscientity, do I say that correctly? When you're conscious. Um, Anyhow, I will come back on that later. But we measure how someone is creatively, and to be creative in life is an important thing for your health, both physical, by the way, and mentally. And you can easily measure that for yourself. Do you still have a lot of imagination? Do you let yourself dream about things? Do you literally create maybe things like, I'm a choreographer, I create dances, but there are other things. Maybe you make music, and but even in the music yourself, can you still see that you are either creative or you're only a follower, right? So that's a little bit a way to measure that. And do you feel free to create, or are you ashamed to move around other people if you're following a dance class, for instance? So then you already take a good step to be more creative. But if you have a lot of shame to just move around because you think that you are judged, then that actually affects your imagination, and hence it affects your mental health at some point in time, and even your physical health. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, and then the fourth energy is manifestation energy. and that is how active are you, how intentionally are you in life. So that's my keyword here, intent. Do you take initiative? Do you have good intents? Do you want to do things and produce things in life? Another way to look at it is, are you more reactive or are you more proactive? And you can see that if you don't have a lot of energy, it starts with there, and then also you have very much little to do. So someone asked me quite recently, yeah, I actually lack a lot of energy lately. As I advise that person, why don't you take an initiative to do something for someone else? That sounds like almost like counterintuitive, right? Like, man, I already don't have energy, but now I have to do something for someone else. It gives you a lot of energy. Just, it doesn't have to be a big thing, could be a small thing, bring a flower or whatever. Um, Anyhow, and then last but not least is your divine energy. And that's a little bit a larger topic, but let me give you also here a keyword, and that's purpose. Do you have a purpose in life? Do you feel that you still have goals that you can go after? Is that motivating you? And or do you just go to your job every day and just have actually no clue what direction life is taking you? And these things are not new. Don't think that I think you tell you all kind of new. I put it maybe in a new format for you to understand, but that it always comes down to how honest are we to ourselves, right? How honest are we in maintaining our health? And people say, yeah, I go to the gym once in a while, and I believe that. I believe that you do exercises and stuff like that, but most of us, it's still not enough. That once in a while that we go to the gym, and because we want, the whole social media is about showing how good you do in these things, but you can feel it from yourself if you're truly maintaining your health constantly, or whether you're just trying to do your best, which is good. I applaud that too, right? We don't have to become all athletes. I just took athletes as people who often, not always, by the way, have that mentality in themselves, but they sometimes lack it in other areas as well. So do a holistic thing. And if you are car fanatic, it's even easier to do that. That you have to maintain something to before it goes backward. If you're a gardener, it's the same thing. You fix your yard and it's all pretty. And if you don't do something about it for a week or a month, the weeds take over and the soil would go away, all that kind of stuff. So almost anything in life, and I tend to say anything, everything in life needs maintenance to at least stay on par, right? And if you want to be above that and stay above that, then you need to do even a little bit more. So let that hopefully be a good motivation for you. It has always been a good motivation for me to show up as best as I can. And because I'm also a teacher, so it's a responsibility that I have towards my students and the people around me. Maybe you need to find something else that motivates you to do that too. But sounded maybe like a pretty serious a serious topic today. um, I think it was because health is definitely temporary, as I said, as the title of these things. If you like what I said, don't forget to like on my YouTube channel specifically, or on Facebook. I'm just trying to grow my YouTube channel as well, and I hope to see you back next week with another topic of the place. Right? If you join me on Zoom for the after party, then just drop me a quick message and I'll send you the link. If not, then I'll see you back next week here at Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and wherever I am live. Right? This was Xiao at the place. Have a good day. Bye bye.